I just wanted to make a quick video on the upcoming Spotify changes, payments to artists. Now, this will be relevant if, like the vast majority of people on Spotify who have music on Spotify, your songs get 1,000 listens a month or less, or maybe 999 a month or less. I mean, who knows? They haven't actually said what the limit is going to be. But so there's a couple of good things that we can all probably agree are good things. So they're going to crack down, as in Spotify, on people rigging the system. So, for example, if you have 10 minutes of ambient noises to go to sleep with, there will be people who split those into 30-second tracks, and each 30-second track is going to pay out the same as any other song. So yeah, they're kind of rigging the system. No, that doesn't benefit anyone. So good, crack down on those. They're also cracking down on bots, artificially inflated plays based on bots. Great. But what they're throwing in with those things is a reduction, and I say reduction, a complete elimination of payments to smaller artists. Now, nobody quite knows what the limit's going to be, whether it's going to be, I've seen everything between 200 streams per month per song to 1,000 streams. So, if your song gets fewer than 1,000 streams in a month, Spotify's not going to pay you. Now, I can't begin to express how bad this is, not just from an ethical point of view, and also for artists, because 1,000 streams per month is actually puts you in the top, 20% of everyone on Spotify. That's a lot. That really is a lot. So what they're saying is basically, if you're not a large established artist, and if you're not on a record label, probably, then it's going to be back into like the old days where you're not going to get any money for your music. Now, I don't get a huge amount of money for the music I have on streaming services. It's a bit. It pays for, maybe a nice sort of VST or something at the end after a year of it. It helps me basically. The payment is a validation because people are listening to it, and just a little bit of money coming in makes me feel like I'm going to say professional, but I'm getting some money for my art. I mean, I get more from selling albums on Bandcamp, but it's nice to get some streaming money. But why should I? People are paying Spotify to listen to my music. Not many, but some. And what Spotify is saying is, oh yeah, but we're not going to pass that money on to the artist. We'll pay out, if somebody listens to Taylor Swift for 3 minutes, she'll get the money. But if somebody listens to me, the Goodness Guild, for 3 minutes, he's not going to get the money because he's not rich enough, or he's not famous enough. And that money is not going to go to other artists. No. This money is going to remain in the pockets of Spotify shareholders. Now, and I've seen, quite bizarrely in my mind, other artists who are on Spotify saying, oh yeah, but that's fine because why should you get money? It's just a hobby. You're not doing it professionally. So who are they to say? If somebody is paying Spotify to listen to my music, then why shouldn't I get that money? I want to reinforce the point that I'm completely down on them trying to get rid of all this people trying to game the system and the people, using bots and something. Fine, get rid of those guys. But it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter to Spotify how popular the music is that people are listening to. Why should that matter? Because effectively they're doing the same thing. They're serving out a file to somebody and then paying somebody for that play. It's just a money grab because they know that everyone in my position, or most people in my position, have to be on Spotify, right? This is the state that the world is in now. If I want a gig in my local pub, they will say to me, how many monthly Spotify listeners do you have? Now, there are other ways of measuring that. They can say, what other gigs have you done? Or can you play us some of your music and stuff? But the reality is for a lot of venues now, they'll say, hey, what's your monthly listener count? And that's how they'll judge everything. So Spotify have a de facto monopoly, right? You have to be on there, really. And so they can do something like this and you can go, oh, right, okay, then maybe I just won't have my music on there. I'll put it on Apple Music or whatever. It pays twice as much, by the way. Other streamers pay a lot more than Spotify. Spotify is a bad deal for artists already. But no, effectively, you've got to be on Spotify if you want to do any kind of promotion, really, or get people to listen, or even if you just want to share links to stream your music. That a lot of the time, it's the only streaming app people will consider using. It's a monopoly, right? Effectively, even though there are other options. I don't pay for Spotify. I refuse to. They've always been a bad deal for musicians. My music's on there, but I pay for Apple Music. I like the way they pay musicians twice as much. I will try and support other musicians. But that's besides the by. I have to be on there. But this is just outrageous. Isn't this outrageous? So what do we do? I mean, just make sure other people on Spotify know that this is happening. Don't subscribe to Spotify. Use a different stream platform. I mean, it might be a tiny dent. But why should we artists who Spotify's decided they're not going to pay us, why should we pay them to serve our music out and not pay us? So they profit from our content, which, let's face it, most of us have already paid effectively to put on Spotify through a distributor. So we give them content which they charge people per month to listen to, and then they don't pay us. I mean, that's just theft, isn't it? Even if the payout was before was pittance, why should it go into the pockets of Spotify shareholders and not other musicians, just the people who own Spotify? I can't begin to tell you how cross this makes me. It's just another example of corporations taking from the people with the least and giving it to the people with the most, whether that's other wealthy artists or the corporation themselves. And more annoying, because that's what corporations do, right? But more annoying is the number of people defending it. Don't defend it. Well, you need bootlickers, all of you. Why would you put up with this? Don't defend it. Oh, the comments on social media of people defending it. They are taking money from you and giving it to the rich. Okay? Oh, be more annoyed.